Nonnus is online. Go look him up. Nonnus is a source who talks about Mary using a on Jesus. He had an that she wiped away with her hair. And the reason she put it in her hair was that was where the communion substance went. But Nonnus, in his paraphrase of John, says, not only talks about little boys that were with Jesus and the milk from the little boy that was on Jesus's mouth. Okay.
Bro.
Nonnus, you want a source? This is what I say to people. Go to the primary sources. I'll tell you whatever you want. He says it was an antidote. That cup they gave Jesus on the cross. Everybody knows Jesus didn't die from crucifixion.
Nonnus of Panopolis wrote in his paraphrase of John a retelling of the fourth gospel in Homeric dactylic hexameter verse. It doesn't contain any of the wildly perverted content that Hillman describes. He must be banking on the idea that nobody would ever fact-check him on this. But anyone can read Nonnus for themselves. Just as in the canonical gospel, Mary washes Christ's feet with her hair. Joseph is described as metaphorically sipping the milk of faith straight from the sacred lips of Christ. And Jesus dies on the cross after drinking turned wine from a sponge.
There was a man called Lazarus with fever racked, who lived with within the famous town of Bethany. Sorry, I'm butchering this in English. With Martha and Mary. Fair-haired Mary was famous as a hostess as she washed Christ's feet. Now, I get that he believes that washing feet means something else, but hear me out here. This is known as paraphrasing John, right? Like, this isn't mysterious. And with her locks wiped clean, both his immortal souls, with a O-L-E-S, souls, right? So that's an English translation of Nonnus's paraphrase of John. If you want to dispute the translation, please explain to me why it's not accurate. And then Mary taking myrrh, 3 measures of the fragrant liquid known as nard, its dewy drops all brimming over the crystal jar, right? So it's not an alabastron in Nonnus. Massaged his wondrous feet with myrrh spread all over and sopped up the rich moisture with her wanton hair. And then the next section I have from 19, this is where, so the Mary thing. Now, I don't know, how explicit can I be on this podcast? Because I had to be careful on Myth Vision.
I don't know. How
his interpretation, the answer to Derek's question is his interpretation of Nonnus is that Mary took this crystal jar, right? This angos aersis, and that this was basically a device that she used. And this is in the video, right? Like, I played it in the video. This is his interpretation of it, that she used it to do something to Jesus that caused Jesus to do something else. And that the thing that resulted in, this process, she then cleaned that up with her hair, and she put it into her hair for all of these cultic reasons. So this is his wild interpretation of Nonnus that just today I got a comment saying, like, how dare you accuse him of mistranslating Nonnus when all of the previous translations of Nonnus, according to this person in the comments, are not accurate. And he really, like, they were all poorly done, and he's the only person who's really, like, cracking open Nonnus and breaking ground on some new translations. I want somebody to please explain to me, I'm not going to get into the Greek here, but explain to me how you get from the Greek into his version of the English, where Mary is performing this act on Jesus that I'm not even going to describe here, right? Like, how do you get it? Where do you get it? Did I look over a section of Nonnus? Is there some explicit thing in Nonnus that I didn't see when I reviewed it in preparation for the video? And then in the section where Joseph sipped the milk of faith straight from his sacred lips, from Christ's lips, like, basically, clearly, we all understand how language works, right? It's a metaphor. Christ is speaking. We get this whole sort of milk thing in Paul as well, where the milk is actually just sort of like spiritually rich information, right? How does Hillman get that this was the milk from the boy that was on Jesus's lips? That's his interpretation of this. Is this what he's pointing to? Because that's the thing, is he doesn't cite it, right? He doesn't say where he gets it. He just says that Jesus had milk from the boy on his lips. Where is it? Where, if he's going to accept an invitation to debate me, I want to see it. Show it to me, please. You got, again, paraphrase of John, a full jar of wine. They give him wine on a sponge, the vinegar, the sponge full of vinegar. It's all in John. That Nonnus is paraphrasing John here in the dactylic hexameter. So he's drinking the wine from the sponge here. What was his interpretation of this? This one was also weird. But this is they gave him the antidote. He goes wild with this stuff. But when this is that's the answer. The answer is this scene of Nonnus paraphrasing John, where Mary wipes his feet with her hair. If you want to say that is a sort of sexual innuendo, where washing feet is something that refers to something else, where are you getting the alabastron up the butt, right? Like where you get that? Where you get that, dude? I don't see it here. I didn't see it. I looked at Nonnus. Like it's plenty of good translations of Nonnus. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. Well, and this comes about, like, so many of these arguments that he has, like, just don't really give any credibility to the ones that everybody cares about. Like, this guy Nonnus could be just like a total pervert and making all these sexual jokes or whatever about Jesus, or misinterpreted the original Greek text, but that doesn't say anything about the Greek text. We have no reason to think this is some type of historical, like, even if Ammon is correct about his translation, even if he was, we have no reason to think that is somehow more accurate than our typical understanding of the text.
Well, he's basing it on, this is quite explicitly titled A Paraphrase of John. It's based on John. So there's nothing, Nonnus isn't really bringing anything new to the table other than to take the language of, or the story of John, and put it into dactylic hexameter verse to sound like Homer, because that's what he did. That's what he does in Dionysiaca. It's beautiful. If you can read this in Greek and you can scan the dactylic hexameter, and you can get the rhythm that he's using, where it's like dum da da dum da da dum da da dum da da dum dum. That's what every single line of this poem sounds like. It's great. It's like it's better than Shakespeare. So if you learn Greek and you learn this stuff, like that's what he's doing here, and it's amazing. It's brilliant. Like why would you take away from the brilliance of what Nonnus is really doing here by insinuating that he is just a completely debased, perverted, person? Like, it's offensive. It offends me that somebody would even suggest that Nonnus's paraphrase of John has this wild stuff in it, right? Like it's and I'm not a scholar of Nonnus. I'm not a scholar, period, and I'm not super well versed in Nonnus. And to be honest, I didn't look at this until I had to as part of this research. And again, it's like, thanks, Dr. Hillman, for introducing me to Nonnus's paraphrase of John. It's a beautiful work, but I can tell you that it doesn't have Mary, giving it to Jesus up the what with an alabastron. That's for sure.
And you talked about the Nonnus video and your Myth Vision.
Talked about Nonnus and Myth Vision.